Welcome to the Sam and Joe VA Show, where we teach women just like you how to start and scale a thriving virtual assistant business.
We're your hosts, Sam and Joe, and get ready to have the control, flexibility, and freedom you've always dreamed of.
Welcome to episode 206, our 10 most ignored pieces of advice.
I've been chomping at the bit to do this episode, Joe. Frothing at the mouth to talk about.
Oh, that sounds gross.
Because, who would have thought? There's some people out there that don't listen to our advice.
Why? Why would anyone not listen to Sam and Joe, I wonder?
Well, I do ask myself this occasionally, especially when they've come to us for advice and then they ignore it.
Well, do you know why? I think because sometimes you have to experience something to actually believe something different to an existing belief that you already have. We don't want you to have to do that, though. That feels difficult, unnecessary. But I also think that some of the things that we do give you advice on aren't necessarily very easy things, right? Business is not easy. Business is actually quite hard. That's why not everyone is successful in business. That's why not everyone comes into business and they stay as an employee.
Yeah.
There are some things that we bang on about a lot, though. Like, surely after being in this, 20 years combined now, I think we know a thing or two.
Oh, I think we know more than a thing or two.
We know 10 things especially, right?
In fact, there's 10 things that we're going to talk about on this episode that we definitely know a lot about. Yeah, we're going to go through. I mean, there's lots. We've narrowed this list down to 10. These are the top 10 things that virtual assistants, both established and aspiring, ignore. We would be here a week if we listed out every single bit of advice that's ignored. We've narrowed it down. These are the ones that we literally, I would say, a weekly basis will come up against somebody that is ignoring one of these pieces of advice.
Yeah. I think we see number one daily, for sure.
This is a new one. This is not something that we've been talking about for a while. This is very new on the scene. We're talking about ChatGPT. And in particular, the advice that we give is that you have to master prompting and you have to use the 80-20 rule when using ChatGPT. Like, you have to. Because what happens if you don't, Joe?
Yeah, I was going to say, otherwise, it's so obvious when you do not use the 80-20 rule or have not mastered prompting, because you use the words like unleashed and passion and unlocked. There's a lot of phrases that ChatGPT will use if you have not prompted correctly and if you have not used the 80-20 rule. It is so incredibly obvious. Another one, lots of emojis, especially the rocket emoji. How sad is it that poor Rocket Spark have now got everyone using the rocket emoji when that was like their signature emoji, and now it looks like they use ChatGPT when they use it, but they don't. I would be frustrated if my signature emoji was rocket.
Now, we are not saying that if you're an avid emoji user, like naturally, authentically, that you need to stop with the emoji. We're not saying that at all. However, we do see a lot of you, all of a sudden, the messaging that we're seeing online and the posts that you're sharing and the blog posts that you're writing, all of a sudden, there are dozens of emojis throughout this copy. And it's like, hey, Jane doesn't normally write like that. This doesn't seem like Jane at all. And it's like, oh, because it's not. Because also look at all those Zs that we can see, all the American spelling. Jane's used ChatGPT.
well, now, there is not a Jane that we are specifically referring to. Let's be clear. So if your name is Jane and you're listening, we're not talking to you. We're talking generally to everyone. Yeah, the Z's: organization, organized, personalization. Yes. So obvious that you've used ChatGPT because as New
Mm.
Zealanders or Australians or those from the UK, we don't just type in those words with the Z. We know that they are spelled with a S. It was very obvious that you copied and pasted it.
It's just occurred to me, Americans may not even realize that there
No.
are other people that don't use Z's in these words. It's just occurred
No.
to me. They're like, "What the
Yeah.
heck are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is everyone spelling these things wrong to them, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So we need to confirm what the 80/20 rule is because this is something that we haven't talked about a lot because this is very brand new, all of this AI. So when we talk about master prompting, this is where you're not just saying, please write me a caption about whatever. This is where you actually have trained your AI on your brand, how you speak. You've given it a bunch of examples. You've really trained it to speak and write just like you would so that it does sound like you. But then that's not enough. So we want you to spend 20% of your time prompting and then refining at the end and letting ChatGPT do 80% of the work. So 10% up front on the prompting, giving it all the information it needs, 10% at the end, really refining it and taking out those words that you would never say and replacing them with the language and the style and the tone, things that you would actually say.
There are master prompters out there right now that I would say that they're at the top of their game in terms of understanding how to
Mhm.
prompt. They understand the ins and outs of the tools like ChatGPT. They still have to put 20% of change that copy that's coming out
Yes.
20%.
Yes.
These are master prompters that have to do it. So please don't let ChatGPT spit something out of you and you're just doing a blind copy and paste or a very
Yes.
half-assed read through. That sounds good. Yeah, it may
Mhm.
sound good. Does it sound like you?
Yeah. Okay. So that is number one. Number one, most ignored pieces of advice. What's
That's
number
not
two?
that actually isn't the number one, but it's
Okay, not
on
the
number one on our list. Let's make it clear.
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay, okay. These are not in order of
No.
most ignored.
Number 2. Number 2 is the advice that we give that you attract more clients by niching. I'm going to say that again for those of you in the back. You attract more clients by niching. The opposite of this is you're offering everything to everybody in the hopes that you're going to attract everyone.
But who do you attract? No
No
one.
one. Yeah, the thing that you were hoping to achieve by offering everything to everybody is actually the reason why you aren't attracting anybody.
Yeah. It seems so counterintuitive, doesn't it? Let's narrow down and speak to like one ideal client. It feels so counterintuitive. It has the opposite effect. We promise you. We've seen it. So in the last episode, you would have heard Mandy talk about the niche, not only the industry in the first kind of level, health and wellness, but then she went even further, health and wellness and those who have ADHD.
Great niche.
That's who she's niched into. And now she is absolutely thriving and growing her team because of it, because she is now known as the ADHD friendly virtual assistant.
And it's why she has a steady stream of leads coming through, the
Mhm.
majority of which are word of mouth. And you know why?
Mhm.
Because she is recognized as that virtual assistant, the one that helps that type of client.
Yes. Love it.
Okay. Don't ignore that one, please. Don't ignore any of these. Number 3 on our list. This is a big one. This really gets my knickers in a knot, Joe.
I can't believe you said knickers on the podcast. Who says knickers? Okay, grandma, don't get your knickers in a twist. Number 3 is don't advertise or offer ad hoc, casual, hourly rates.
Stop it right now. Right now. I feel like we need to talk about why
Yes.
you shouldn't do this.
We want you to have fixed fee packages or ongoing monthly service plans. Everything gets so much better when you do. Your ability to manage your cash flow, to project what you're going to earn in the future, to figure out your capacity, all of those things are so much easier when you have your clients on packages or service plans. Now, the opposite happens when you start offering casual hourly rates and you start to bring on clients who are like, yeah, I'm not quite, I just want to test the waters and I want to come on as casual. How do you know how much time you have available for you to say yes to other clients or for you to earn a certain amount per month? It gets so messy, so much harder to manage. The admin in and around managing a whole bunch of small clients is just unnecessary. And you also, if you are advertising that casual hourly rate, people will focus on the hourly rate and be like, that is very high compared to what I can hire someone as an employee. We do not want our leads and our potential clients to be making that comparison right off the bat. We
Mm-mm.
want them to focus on a amount that they pay either annually or monthly for a certain service that you provide, because that is going to feel like a lot less than a full-time employee.
Yeah. Now, we're not saying you can't offer extra hours
Mm.
onto somebody that's on an ongoing service plan already, because that's going to happen occasionally. We've all experienced that at some point. What we're talking about is that advertising it,
Yeah.
offering it to leads and brand new clients.
Have it in your
That
back pocket.
have it in your back pocket. You can
Yeah.
you can use it down the track, but it's that advertising it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna skip a couple because I reckon,
Oh.
yeah, I reckon we go to this one here, which is along the similar lines of service plans. Have no more than 3 service plans and make sure that you have tiered pricing for those
Mhm.
3 service plans that you're advertising.
Okay. First, the reason why there's only 3 is because you do not want your leads, potential clients, to have decision fatigue. You know, when you go into a store and it is jam packed with so much stuff, and there are like 20 color options, or you go and get your nails done and there's like 200 colors.
Too
Oh my
much.
gosh, it is so difficult to try and choose just one color. Now, you do not want your client, your potential clients, to be looking at your service plans and you've got, 6 different options and then all these different add ons and casualty rate and all of these options. They are not going to be able to choose anything. They're going to be so confused, and we do not want our potential clients to feel confused. We want them to have clarity and to be able to know exactly which option is going to be best for them.
Yeah, there is, and this is not just our advice. We haven't like made this up out of thin air. There is a reason for it, and we have learned about it because it's
Mhm.
a thing. There's science behind the rule of 3.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard of the rule of 3, Google it. But you'll
Mhm.
find that most organizations, especially large corporates included, right? If they have service offerings or packages or types of tiered tools or whatever it is that they're offering, more often than not, there's going to be 3 options for you to pick from.
Yeah. And then we want you to take that one step further. In your 3 options, we want you to have tiered pricing. So this means that, let's say you have a 10, 25, and a 40-hour service plan. those who go on the 40-hour service plan are incentivized to do so because the hourly rate associated with that service plan is less than if they only commit to a low service plan, say the 10-hour service plan. That hourly rate that is worked out on is higher. So we want clients to think, I want to go on a higher service plan because actually per hour, this gets cheaper for me.
Yeah, they girl math it, right? It's like, oh, I'm saving money by going on a higher service plan. I'm actually saving money. Girl
Yeah.
math.
Yeah.
But it's true.
That is true. Yeah. So 3 service plans, tiered pricing is an absolute must. Same with packages. Make sure that you have 3 only packages. You can have some add-ons, but just 3 options. Much easier to decide.
Yeah. Okay, the next one is a super, super simple one. It's a mistake we see being made time and time and time again. Lucky for you guys, it's a really easy fix. And that is stop listing data entry as a service in your list of services. It is simply too low level. And there is no one that is searching for a virtual assistant to outsource to that is searching for a virtual assistant to only do data entry.
Yeah. It's a given that you could do data entry if someone required it. But you know what? It's 2024. There is no way anyone should be doing any data entry. There are so many AI tools that you can take, even just your photo thing on your phone, PDF, like there is so many tools that you can take a photo of something and it inputs the data into an Excel spreadsheet or into a Word doc or whatever. No one should be data entering, is that a word? Anything.
No. It is an absolute given that a generalist virtual assistant will be able to help a client with any data entry issues that they may have.
And so what this is doing by you having that data entry service listed out is that you're just lowering the level in your credibility as a virtual assistant. So there's going to be a complete misalignment if you have some premium rates and then you have data entry as one of your service offerings, complete misalignment. You are now scrapped off the list of potential virtual assistants they want to hire. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the C word, Joe. Oh, the C word. This is a big no-no. I let it slip sometimes. I'm going to be honest. Sometimes I let the C word slip. And I know I need to work harder at that because I'm not setting a good example for those around me when they hear me say the word cost.
Yeah. We need to have our potential client really focused on hiring a virtual assistant being an investment that they get a return on. So as soon as they hear the word cost, that for them is just adding in an expense unnecessarily in their business and means that they're going to have to reduce their profit, pay themselves less potentially. Okay, so we don't want to be adding costs to a business. We want to be giving our clients a return on their investment. So using the word investment in place of cost is really going to help your potential client subconsciously start to think about this relationship that they may be entering into differently. They are investing in you so that they can use their freed up time to focus on revenue generating activities and make more money than they are paying you for your services.
Exactly.
That's how they get a return.
Yep. If you need a recap of that, what Joe's just said is stop using the word cost and use the word investment instead. All right. Next one is a big ick of yours. A big, big ick of yours. But yet, it doesn't matter who we are reviewing their website for. We find one of these. We find blank screens on people's websites all the time. Not
Mhm.
just their websites, flyers, proposals.
Yep.
I haven't seen one
Meetings.
on a business card yet.
Oh, it's a first for everything, I'm
There
sure.
is a first for everything. Yeah. So the advice is, if using stock images, put something branded on any blank screens that are in that stock image.
Yeah, it might
Computer
be a
screens.
laptop screen, might be a smartphone screen, and they often are black or white. Now, that is not just a stock photo for you to use as is. There is a purpose behind having that plain blank screen in the stock photo, and that is so you can put something on it. Put your website on it, or put whatever you're showcasing or showing on that stock image blank screen. Please don't use it on its own.
Okay, next on our list is don't build your website before you get your first few clients. We've been
Mm.
saying this for 4 years now.
Yes.
Don't build a website before you've got your first couple of clients, unless
Hmm.
unless the services that you are going to be offering are website design services
Yeah.
and or copywriting services. I
Yeah.
might tack
Then-
on I'm gonna tack on SEO services too, because
yeah.
that's a great way to prove that you know what you're doing if you can get your own website ranking really well. So
Yeah. It would be weird if you hired a web designer who didn't have a website. That would be weird. For everyone else in a virtual assistant, and there are loads of virtual assistants that we have in the Scale Up Mastermind or past members that have built their entire business, gotten fully booked without a website.
now the reason we give this advice is because a website, especially when you are first starting out, right? You don't have any clients. Your website is not going to get you clients. No one is going to find that website of yours. Chances are that website, even if someone was to find it, and they're going to find it because you've sent them the link, right? It's probably not going to convert that visitor to a lead or a client. The reason being, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You actually don't know who you're attracting. You don't know what services you're going to offer. Your pricing is all wrong. You name it, you've got it wrong at this point because you've got no
Mm.
clients. You've got no experience under your belt.
And it's just going to be a big suck of time if you're trying to do it yourself, because let's be honest, if you try and create a website, despite having drag and drop tools, it actually still takes a really long amount of time to build a website. And then is it even going to be any good at showcasing your credibility and looking like a modern website if you don't have any experience? We can guarantee it's not going to look good. And it's not going to convert. It's not going to be appealing. You're not going to stand out. So you've just spent all of that time. It costs money to build your website, to have it hosted. And it feels like a really big waste of time at this point because it's not going to give you the results that you want. It's a long-term strategy and it's for established virtual assistants.
Yeah. Come back to it once you've got a couple of clients under your belt. You're clearer on where the business is going, how it's going to look.
Yeah. And it's not the thing that makes you look like a legitimate business.
No.
So I feel like that's maybe the story that those who are starting out in business have, that, oh, I need to have a website because that makes me a real business and it makes me credible because I've got a website. But your website's going to be really shit.
So it's doing
So
more harm than good.
yeah.
Yeah. Just hold off. Hold off.
Yep.
I need to rush into it. Okay.
Number 9.
Number 9. Go on, go.
Not following up your leads.
So
You
what's
may
the
have
advice? What's
had
the piece of advice then?
Okay, so the piece of advice that you are ignoring is not following a really robust, awesome follow-up strategy.
So you need a really robust, awesome follow-up strategy.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're screwed because you're literally letting leads walk out the door.
It may be that, of course, you get in touch with an inquiry that comes on, but then that's just the first part of your sales process. It's the easy bit, having the conversation at the very start to book a discovery call. Where we see virtual assistants going wrong with the follow-up strategy is that once you've sent the proposal, had the discovery call, you can't just go silent and assume that they will get in touch with you if they are interested.
Doesn't
A
work that
big no-no to
way.
assume that.
And then I think we have virtual assistants that go, "Oh yeah, okay, no, I've listened to your advice. I get it. I believe you. I follow up, but it's still not working." Well, how often are you following up? How are you following up? What
Mm,
language are you using when following up? It's one thing to know you need to follow up. It's another thing to have a strategy that works.
yeah.
It's not going to put people off. It's not going to make you feel salesy or icky. They're not going to think that you're spamming them or stalking them. You've got to get
Mm,
that balance right. And
mhm.
sometimes that's easier said than done, getting that balance right. I feel like there's a real art to it.
Yeah. You said there's some real specific language to use as well, so that you don't come across desperate or, passive. Like, we want
Ugh.
them to have that confidence instilled in them that you are a serious business owner that's gonna do a really high quality job for them. And that comes across in your language that you're using, even in that follow-up process that you have.
Don't ignore the advice. Don't ignore it. All right, we've got our last piece of advice. I'm going to put it out there, Joe. I reckon this is probably the most ignored piece of
Mm.
advice in the history of us giving advice.
Big call, but I think you might be right.
All right. Number 10 is a bit of advice that you guys are ignoring. And we kind of get why you ignore it, though, to be honest. This is a
Mm.
biggie. This isn't a quick fix. This isn't a, oh, okay,
Mm.
I won't build a
I just won't
website.
do it.
I just won't do it. It's not a,
No.
oh yeah, I can fill some blank screens on those stock images that I use. This is a bigger issue. The advice is stop treating your discovery calls like interviews and your clients like employers.
Oh, there has been a few instances where virtual assistants that we know have not followed their discovery call plan that they had, and they have completely let their lead potential client treat them like they are in an interview, taking control of that conversation, requested a CV, started interviewing them typically like you would if you were an employer. And it never goes well. It never goes well when you've given over that control to your lead.
Well, you've set the tone. You've
Mhm.
set the tone really early on as to who's going to wear the pants in this relationship.
And who's gonna set all the terms? Who's gonna set all the expectations?
The
What the hourly
boundaries.
rate's gonna be? Yeah.
Yeah. Virtual assistants that do this, especially those that do it time and time and time again, it's their natural default to feel like they have to fit the mold that the client has gotten here in front of them. This is what I'm looking for. Here's the mold. Now squeeze in. Oh, you're gonna have to
Mm.
chop that bit off. No, 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 no. This is not gonna fit. It's just awkward. You end up resenting it. It's uncomfortable. It,
You end
it
up agreeing to things that are not in your terms, agreeing to things that are, yeah, outside of their mold. That's not gonna go well for you.
no.
It's how do you come back from that? They sign up. How do you come back from that and start then having some expectations and some boundaries? Like, you've given the control to that client. It's very hard to come back from that. Not impossible, but very hard.
Yeah. It's not
Mm.
an interview. They are not, I guess I mean, it's similar to an interview. Like I get that. But you know how a traditional interview is more one-sided, right? You are going into somebody's place of work usually, and they are asking you a whole heap of questions, and they are judging you, and they need to make sure that you are going to be the right fit for them. They've handled the whole thing. They've put the job advert out. They've set the time, the location. They've got final say on what your salary is going to be. A discovery call is very, very different to that. You're a business owner. So that's why you can't treat it like this other style of interview that you may be used to. You've got to make sure that this lead that you're talking to, that they're the right fit for you as well, that you actually like them, that you want to work for them, that you can help them, that they're willing to pay you what your going rate is, because you know what your going rate is, because you've done your homework, you've done your figures, you've used the calculator, you know exactly how much it is that you need to be charging out in order to be profitable, in order to be paying your bills, in order to be feeding your kids and keeping the roof over your head.
Yeah. In an interview, they're asking the questions of you, but in the discovery call, it's the opposite. You want to be asking the questions of them. In the interview style, you're the one doing most of the talking. But in the discovery call, you want your lead to be doing most of the talking. So it's really flipping it around. And we want you to get out of that employee mindset and into a business owner mindset, providing a service to a client. It's completely different.
Yeah.
And all the cards are held by you, not the client.
Because this just causes ongoing issues once that lead becomes the client, right?
It's that power play, isn't there? You want to have the power in the relationship, not handing over all of your power to the client.
You're never going to feel like you can say no. You're never going to feel like you can maintain those boundaries, really hold those boundaries that are important to you in order to maintain why you've become a virtual assistant in the first place, whether that's the hours that you work, the type of services that you're providing, what you're putting up with, just in terms of how they treat you even.
Yeah.
Are they, are they showing up to all your meetups? Are they late? Are they respecting your boundaries, your time, your knowledge?
And that's how you're getting into that territory of treating your clients like your employers. We do not want that for you. It's completely different to what you were used to back in your 9 to 5. This is a totally different relationship. We want you to have all the power and you to have the business that you love, that you enjoy working in. And that starts with you making sure that you are very clear about who holds the power in the relationship. You get to set the terms. You get to say yes or no. So please stop treating your discovery calls like interviews and your clients like employers.
And please take the rest of our advice that we've talked about that you are clearly ignoring.
Yeah, we've been doing this for a long time. We know where all the mistakes happen, where all the issues come up, and because of why.
I mean, we may look like spring chickens. Like, we may look as though we've only just stepped into the world of business, but we've been around the block. We're in our 40s, people. We've been doing the VA thing for a long time.
Yeah. So there we have it. There are our 10 most ignored pieces of advice. Now we're about to have Launch in 30 Days, which is our playbook, step-by-step playbook to launching your very own dream business and landing your first high-paying client. And it is coming up, our VIP edition, again we're going to start on 1 August.
Yeah, this is the last time in 2024 that you are going to be able to join us for the VIP version of Launch in 30 Days. If you don't know what VIP means, basically you can either do it yourself in your own time, Or you can wait for the 3 times a year that we open the doors to join us live. And that means that you get access to us for the entire 30 days on a daily basis to ask all the questions that you have, to help you get unstuck and focused and all that great stuff. And we have like weekly live Ask Us Anything sessions as well, which is so valuable.
Yeah, lots of accountability in there and a whole support network from others who are going and through launch in 30 days as well.
But please,
So now, yes,
I was going to say, and join us if, if you can promise to take our advice that we give you within this 30 days.
yeah, you have to pinky promise. You will listen to our advice. You will take it all on board. We know what we're talking about, and we want you to have the best business possible. So if you are interested in getting on our wait list, we will drop the link below because this is where you can grab a really big discount. And this is the last time that we'll be offering this big discount. And this is the last time, like Sam said, that you can do the course in 2024. So we'd love to see you there. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Sam and Joe VA Show. If you'd like to find out more, head to the VA Foundry website to check out the mastermind and the amazing resources, courses, and coaching.
You can find us at thevafoundry.com.